Bitter criticism.
Da con el manzano.
El manzano se lo
El guatón.
el manzano.
Ah, el viejo.
Fue un manzano que me mandó. Se lo dejó, se lo dejó. Bien pegado. Ahora que la botella se lo dejó, yo le mandé.
Bitter criticism. Just making a joke here. Entering the bus. I'm gonna make another joke now. What about that? Upside down news. Yeah, upside down news. Just the first one. This is from Pepe Escobar Telegram. Oh, towards the harmonic multipolar world. I guess it's from Pepe Escobar Telegram. I guess. Yeah, look. Yeah, this is a tricky. I'm not sure if it is so tricky, but it's hard. The three key messages from St. Petersburg to the global majority. No, the comments about the unit. I guess I read this. I've written by Pepe Escobar at Sputnik. In the year of the Russian presidency of BRICS, the St. Petersburg International Economic Forum's PF had to deliver something special. And deliver it did. Over 21,000 people, representing no less than 139 nations, a true microcosm of global majority, discussing every facet of the drive towards a multipolar, multinodal italics mind. I read this last time. I guess I read this. Message number 2, the BRICS unit will rock the boat. But I don't remember actually. I will try to read it again to remember. And delivered it did. 21,000 people representing no less than 139 nations, a true microcosm of the global majority, discussing every facet of the drive towards a multipolar, multinodal, italics mind, polycentric world. St. Petersburg beyond all, the networking and the frantic deal making. $78 billion worth dollars clinched in only 3 days. Crafted 3 intertwined key messages already resonating all across the global majority. Message number 1. The alluring world-leading dynamism of Russia. I'm not sure what alluring is. President Putin, a European Russian and true son of this dazzling, dynamic, historic marvel by the Neva, delivered an extremely detailed 1-hour speech on the Russian economy at the forum's plenary session. The key takeaway: as the collective West launched a total economic war against Russia, the civilization state turned it around and positioned itself as the world's fourth largest economy by purchasing power parity. Yeah, just I read this, but some places I don't remember. Message number 2: the BRICS units will rock the boat. That was arguably the major breakthrough in St. Petersburg. Putin stated how the BRICS are working on their own payment infrastructure, independent from pressure sanctions by the collective West. Putin had a special meeting with Dilma Rousseff, president of the BRICS New Development Bank, NDB. They did talk in detail about the bank's development, and most of all, as later confirmed by Rousseff, about the units whose lineaments were first revealed exclusively by Sputnik, an apolitical transactional form of cross-border payments anchored in gold for 40% and BRICS plus currency 60%. Yeah, now I remember. Well, I'm gonna skip to the next one. Because message number 3: the multinodal in the world. It had to be, of course, about BRICS, which everyone, Putin included, stressed will be significantly expanded. The quality of the BRICS-related sessions in St. Petersburg demonstrated how the global majority is now facing a unique historical juncture, with a real possibility for the first time in the last 250 years to go all out for a structural change of the world system. And it's not only about BRICS. It was confirmed in St. Petersburg that no less than 59 nations and counting plan to join not only BRICS but also the Shanghai Cooperation Organization, SCO, and the Eurasia Economic Union, EU. No wonder these multilateral organizations now finally have established themselves on the forefront of the drive towards the multinodal italics mind. And to quote Putin in his address, harmonic multipolar world. Yeah, I've read this, but I guess this is expanded top sessions for further reference. All of the above could be followed live during the frantic 2.5 days of forums sessions. This is a sample of what were arguably the most engaging. The broadcast should be very helpful and references going forward, all the way to the BRICS Summit in October and beyond. Yeah, I guess this is the same article, but it's expanded. On the Northern Sea Route, NSR, and Arctic expansion. Best motto of the session: we need icebreakers. No, I guess I remember now. The icebreakers, or maybe I heard this from Pepe Cafe. The essential discussion to understand how the current global trade supply chains are not reliable anymore, and how the NSR is faster, cheaper, and reliable. On the BRICS business expansion, on the BRICS goals for a true new world order, on the 10 years of the EAU, on the closer integration between EAU and ASEAN, the BRICS Plus Roundtable on the International North-South Transportation Corridor, INSTC. The session was particularly crucial. The key actors of the INSTC are Russia, Iran, and India, all BRICS members, across on the margins which will profit from the INSTC, from the Caucasus to Central South Asia, are already interested to be part of BRICS Plus. Igor Levitin, a top Russian advisor, was a key figure in this session. The Greater Eurasia Partnership, GEP. This was an essential discussion on what is eminently a civilizational project, in contrast with the collective West exclusionary approach. The discussion shows how GEP interlinks with CSCO, EAU, and ASEAN and stresses the inevitable complementarity of transport, logistics, energy, and payment structure all across Eurasia. Glaziev, Deputy Prime Minister Alexei Overchuk, and former Austrian Foreign Minister Karin Kneisel, always ultra sharp, are key participants. Extra astonishing bonus: Abdul Umari, acting Minister of Labor in Taliban Afghanistan, interacting with his Eurasia partners on the philosophy of multipolarity. Well, we have links here, look. Each of these topics has a link, so I will check it later, I guess. On the philosophy of multipolarity. Conceptually, this session interacts with the GEP session. It offers the perspective of a concise inter-civilizational dialogue under the framework of BRICS Plus. Alexander Dugin, the irrepressible Maria Sakharova, and Professor Shang Weiwei of Fudan University are among the participants. On polycentricity, that involves all global majority institutions, BRICS, SCO, EAU, SIS, CIS, CSTO, CICA, African Union, the renowned non-alignment movement. Well, I just read this, I guess. And now says, as Project Ukraine faces doom. I don't remember everything. I'm gonna jump to the bottom. Russia, China, of course, plus Iran are credible Arab deterrents, with Yemen showing the way. All of that may become a must. A global majority military alliance will have to show up one way or another, either before the incoming planned disaster or mitigated, or after it has totally engulfed West Asia into a monstrous, vicious war. Ominously, we may be nearly there, but at least St. Petersburg offered glimmers of hope. Putin, Russia will be the heart of multipolar harmonic world. Now that's how you clinch a 1-hour speech. Yeah, I guess I read something. I read something about that. I mean, this is not the first time I'm uploading this. June 11, Homeworld News. Fyodor Lukyanov, our four columnists, I guess. Fyodor Lukyanov, here's what the results of the European Parliament election tells us. MAPs don't call the shots, so any real change in the bloc will emerge from domestic upheavals. I'm not sure what is a MAPs. Maybe it's a minister or something. Fyodor Lukyanov, the editor-in-chief of Russian in Global Affairs, chairman of the Presidium of Council of Foreign Defense, Policy and Research Director of the Valda International Discussion Club, Russia in Global Affairs, RGA on Telegram. A general view of the count underway at the Royal Dublin Society during the count of the European elections. The European Parliament elections have shaken up this political space, but won't bring revolutionary changes at the EU level. Despite the success of Eurosceptic forces in a number of countries, the composition of the representative body was not seriously changed. The main jobs in the bloc's institutions will, as always, be distributed between the mainstream, the conservatives, EPP, socialists, SND, and liberals, Renew. So there's all kind of European parties, I'm not sure about them. The main conclusion is that in the two largest EU countries, France and Germany, the ruling forces no longer enjoy popular support. Macron decided not to delay but to try to reverse the trend immediately by calling elections with a 3-week campaign. Berlin's right-wing opposition, the CDU, CSU, also called for new elections, but this is highly unlikely. Macron is taking a risk. He is counting on the fact that citizens tend to vote differently in European than in national elections. In the first case, voting in an opportunity to express dissatisfaction with the authorities without risking anything, because the daily life of a European does not depend on what deputies in Brussels and Strasbourg do. The second is to elect those who will form the government and on whom therefore their pockets depend. In national elections, it's the managerial experience of the candidates that counts, and so-called populists usually don't have these skills. As a result, the outcome of national elections is usually more favorable to the mainstream. This was the case under normal and stable conditions, but now we can only dream of those. Macron puts the Ukrainian issue at the center of his campaign for the European Parliament, to the point of promising direct intervention in the fighting. This didn't mobilize voters. In Germany, the subject also played an important role, although it wasn't central. The CDU, which was very successful, is even more pro-Ukrainian than the Social Democrats. However, the success of the Alternative for Germany and Sarah Wagenknecht's new party shows that this line also has its opponents. Both forces oppose arming Ukraine. Will this demonstration of skepticism by a significant part of the electorate towards involvement in the Ukrainian conflict affect the policies of the EU and its individual members? We dare say that it will not. Firstly, the modern European establishment. We are talking about large countries. In smaller countries, the situation is more flexible. The large countries perceives the signals of the electorate in a particular way, in a peculiar way. Not in the sense that it is necessary to change course, but in the sense that A, they have not done enough to explain the necessity of such a policy, and that B, they have not prevented hostile Russian influence. So it is not necessary to change direction, but to continue on the same course, but with redoubled efforts. There is, however, one important nuance. Both in France and especially in Germany, the so-called far-right parties are still virtually isolated. They cannot participate in normal coalition politics. The common accusation is that they play the role of Putin's fifth column. However, the degree of their support is already such that it will not be possible to marginalize these forces indefinitely. In Germany, as commenters note, the issue will soon become a question. It is time either to ban the AfD party as extremist or to start treating it as an ordinary political force. So far, they are leading towards the former, but no decision has been made. Normalization of these parties and the example of Giorgia Meloni in Italy may move them towards a mainstream agenda, but such an outcome is not guaranteed. It depends on a critical mass. There is reality. There is really no alternative to Western Europe's current foreign policy course. Too much credibility has been placed on it, and the senior comrade across the ocean also backs the current course. So they must persevere. Fluctuations are possible, but they are linked, as in the US, if Trump becomes president, to a revision of the fundamentals, but but to the paralysis of the system in the event of a breakthrough to real power by non-systemic forces. If, for example, Le Pen's national movement wins the French elections and takes one government, the cohabitation will turn into a series of squabbles at the highest managerial level. It will be difficult to take any decision. In other words, the alternative to current politics is not a different politics, but rather a dysfunction of any politics. Western European politics is changing it in structure, but not yet in substance. Most likely it can only change as a result of breakdowns and upheavals that can be expected but cannot be predicted. That was Fyodor Lukyanov. This article was first published by Profile.ru, translated and edited by the Russia Today team. And maybe Russia Today is responsible for Fyodor Lukyanov. What about that? Look. They are not saying they are not responsible, understand?